Zaya Wiyai. In Maganize Further School on the Abwin. Imatoku Bezes goes into Zabwin. Ichifua yake soje nchiro kufuna kusaga suit pura wibeza ifaja masarifikira wamenuli na. Nini mafuna ntaza para ujenesi.
Hope is for these children. I think the immediate thing for these children is surviving. They have to think about the next day. They have to think about whether they'll make it. So hope for them is tomorrow. Will tomorrow happen for me?
Imansangaza wambi ndiyo uli basino ndizimbe wonda school. Muntu mata obeza nzeru zabwino ngomaso mata mwina ukuma na musogromu ndizabwino.
Can you clap hands for it? Thank you.
And it's really hard. I find it really hard to take it in when you're talking to a child like Letty and just when she speaks about things like being hungry and it's hard to really think what that must be like, or it's really hard to even pretend you can imagine what it's like to be 12 years old and head of your family. You know, I've got kids at that exact same age as at home, you know, and you can't help but make the comparison with their lives, or even a comparison with Charlie, that amazing boy in England who does all that fundraising for Mary's Meals.
First found out about Mary's Meals in Bosnia, and I was 7 years old at the time, and on the video it said how little it cost. I've been charged for a year, and I was just amazed by that. I thought it was extraordinary. My biggest event, I cycled 603 miles from Brighton to Glasgow with just my mum. 2 days before Christmas, I got 24 people together to swim 1.5 marathons. That's about 40 miles. Put yourself in their position and imagine how they would feel, or how you would feel if you were in their where they are now. It's just horrible to think that they're suffering, and that could have easily been us. It could have been anyone, any one of us. Anyone watching this now, it could have been anyone.
It's very different, the commitment of the heart than the commitment of just the pocket, because we have people who have very little money, so to speak, who give, and we have those who have much more who give, and they have the same value.
How is it?
Brilliant.
It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It's the many, many little acts of love that Magnus always speaks about that make this beautiful work.
All the time I think how privileged we are to have all this. They sleep on the floor, look up at the stars, and that they don't have food, drink, shelter, nothing to keep them safe or warm at night. Just the cost is so low that even a 12-year-old like me could make such a difference. Like, the difference is unbelievable.
I think we all can do so much, and we have one life and we have this world, and why not make it better with such a simple thing, you know?
Every child should have a daily meal, and if everyone just gave that tiny amount, that goal could be achieved so easily.
I was actually having a pint of beer with my brother one evening in our local pub, and we were talking about this news bulletin that we'd seen which described the suffering in Bosnia at that time. Over the next 10 years, we began getting involved in all kinds of different places, from Romania to Latin America to West Africa. And it was only 10 years after we got involved in this kind of work that the Mary's Meals campaign was born. Thousands of children have died of starvation today, and millions of children are out of school because of poverty, and I think that's crazy. I think that's insane. We've decided to stay rooted here in this shed that I borrowed off my father.
He thought he might do it for a year, but it increased and increased and increased. Wherever he goes, doors seem to just open and open.
Although we live in the middle of nowhere, seems to have brought the whole world here.
You actually went and saw Magnus at his home, didn't you?
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
I chased him down. We'd swapped a couple of phone calls and I said, okay, I'm coming to visit you. So I went and spent the day with him and his family and saw his charity and all the people that worked for him. That is such a worthy cause because they feed, it's now more than 500,000 children every day all over the world.
One of the reasons why we like working with RAB so much is that we have a really strong commitment to buying food locally, in country, wherever we work, so that we help the local farmer, we help the local economy.
As a matter of fact, almost all the raw materials, except the vitamins and mineral premixes, which comes from South Africa, is all locally produced. The corn and soya, we actually buy from the smallholder farmers. When we say smallholder farmers, they are really peasant farmers, having a average landholding capacity of half an acre. At least minimum from 15 to 20,000 farmers' households are getting affected. It's much better to purchase the locally produced product than importing a product. And at the same time, indirectly, it is helping the economy one way or other.
It is part of the philosophy that the community should own part of the processes. The reason is simple. We don't want to portray them as helpless. We also want to make them empowered to take part in the processes.
We had a chance to go through some streets in Eldoret, whereby quite a number of children are living.
Sio mzuri, baridi na tuchapa, njaa, unaweza hata ukilala njaa